See, just good performance isn't enough. For me, they have to feel the characters. They have to believe in the ethos. They have to be as close to their lived reality as they can. That's only when it works for me.
Hi all, it's Silesh Ram, Asian Culture Vulture. We're at the Cannes Film Festival, edition 78, and I'm with the director of Homebound, Neeraj Ghaywan. Welcome to AsianCultureVulture.com. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Shailesh. Thank you for having me over.
It's wonderful to have you. It's an honour and a privilege, I must say. Beautiful film, amazing. What was the inspiration? What was the seed for this film?
The seed actually started from one of my co-producers, Somen Mishra. He brought me a story that was written by Basharat Peer for New York Times. And when I read the story, it hit me. It did something inside of me. I used that as a base to tell a larger story. Now, here's what happens, when you look at around the world, when you look at people of color, minorities of like ethnic, regional, religious, ideological minorities or sexual minorities across the world, or even migrants, we always talk about them in statistic, We reduce them down to a number. And it is that then we offer empty rhetoric just to assuage our urban guilt. And we say these things because it makes us feel better, that we hollow sympathy that we offer. So I felt that what if we pick up two people out of these and tell a story about how did they arrive at this point? What were their dreams? What were their homes like? What did they love? What did they eat? What did they fought over? What were the smallest things that humanized them? Because this is always when we filmmakers make a film about something that is not our own, there's always this patronizing gaze that comes in, which sort of makes them a victim all the time. And that narratives I'm very tired of. I want to say stories from their point of view. So I come from a very cinema varied style. And for me, it's very essential for me to be as close to their lived reality as I can. And that was the intent.
And how do you do that? Because you're a very established director. You had a film in Cannes before. Your films are critically acclaimed. You're at a level now where identifying with those dreams, which are very simple, young man's dreams, young woman's dreams, how do you get into that world?
Partly because also I come from a marginalized background, so it's easy for me to empathize. Not easy, but like it's at least better. What I do is that, how actors do this method acting, I sort of do that with my writing and direction because I'm also like insecure. So I want to know everything, okay? And I want to represent, for me, my bigger goal is to represent their lived reality as close as I can. And I don't want to guesswork. I don't want to read a book and do it. So I toured around these villages. I stayed around them. I met these people and hung out with them and, drink with them and chat with them and see what they love. And the same thing I did with the actors. And see, just good performance isn't enough. For me, they have to feel the characters. They have to believe in the ethos. They have to be as close to their lived reality as they can. That's only when it works for me.
And how were you able to draw those performances out of did you have a very firm idea of the cast you wanted when you were casting?
Yeah, we took a long process of casting, but I'm happy with what we have, and I would make...
Clearly.
Fantastic. And like I said, the immersion exercise that I did, that really helped a lot. I workshopped with them a lot. I'm very, very particular about language, culture, and specificity, and the interiority that they should portray. So that has been my penchant. So there were 2 months of just like dialogue and diction and that, and then we took them to these places. And for them to feel, we ate in their homes. We sat down and we did all of that things like to feel as close as we can. That really helped a lot.
I think that really works in the film. And it's a beautiful film about friendship. So we don't, from where I watch lots of movies, but I don't see very many films about friendship. So what made you want to focus on that?
So my inspiration has been also Satyajit's Ray, because he's always made films where your narrative is always above your politics. Your politics never guides the narrative. Narrative has its own world. And to be able to tell these stories, what better a medium than friendship? It's a universal feeling across the world. Like, no matter where you go, what you do, you'll feel that, And you never know. I think you'll anywhere, any part of the world, anyone can connect with it.
What was the hardest part of of making Homebound,
The writing.
the writing?
Because it's deeply personal. I put a lot of my own self. I masqueraded as a privileged cast member for a lot part of my life, and it took a toll on me. And I wanted to excise those demons. I called out the patriarchy that I grew up with. I had 3 elder sisters, and I was pampered a lot. And that's why you see in the film there is a talk about patriarchy. So it is deeply personal, and also I was battling depression at the time and imposter syndrome. And to fight that, like I used to wake up at 3 a.m. because in the day I would get distracted because you would feel you feel like you're doing wrong. Through the day you'll feel, and you'll procrastinate so much. So I'd wake up in the morning to like write for like 3-4 hours and then feel better.
The reaction yesterday, a lot of very emotional people. How was that? I mean,
Honestly, I can't even say it's overwhelming is a less word to use, because that reaction was something else. Even I wasn't prepared for it. I mean, who cries in their own film? I was crying. Like, why am I crying? I can't cry in my own film. I've seen it 100 times, but I think it was cathartic in a more, and it was cathartic for a lot of people who came to me and they just broke down in my hugging me.
saw that,
You
yeah.
saw that, right? And it was such a visceral reaction that I couldn't expect. Like, I think that the part that it becomes their own is a bigger win for me. Like how it stops being a film and it becomes so personal for everyone to watch it. That is the bigger win.
I think we all, as an audience, go on the journey that the characters go on, which is why it's such a.
That was the whole intent, you know. See, that's what I said. The statistic to humanize. It's because you saw humans, you connected with them. Maybe then we will understand that the world needs right now is empathy and kindness. You know.
I think that the success, the skill of the director to get that kind of film assembly, put it all together. So how does it feel now after Massan bringing Homebound here?
It is like homecoming. This is where it started for me, and it was in a way like my own homebound journey with Cannes. I mean, Thierry Fremont and Christian June have been so considerate, so loving, and so caring that it feels like this is my home, and I hope I keep returning.
And what emotion would you like, what single emotion would you like audiences to take away from watching Homebound, if anything?
Empathy for people you don't understand.
So I've left the last question to last, which is the most difficult, I think. Some people are going to say this is very woke and, you know,
Sure.
politically it's problematic for people. Some people, it will be problematic. So how would you...
You know, I feel when I set out to write this film also, like one of the quotes of Rilke was an inspiration, you know. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror, no feeling is final. So with that intent when I went about, I didn't want to point daggers at anyone. I didn't want to villainize anyone because people are victims of circumstance, of their tutelage, their upbringing, misinformation that they have. We need to have empathy also for the other side. I want them to hold their hand, bring them to the side and see, maybe we can rethink, maybe we can prospect, maybe there's another way to look at it. I just hope the world looks at it in a different way. So I've not been pejorative, I've not been attacking at anyone. You know, so I feel people will see the humanity in it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely chatting with you.
Wonderful.